Hey everybody, it's Beth from Yoga and Reiki Bliss. I'm popping in with um, just another way to play with Warrior 3, especially if that's a pose you're curious about and feel challenged by. Here's a fun way to play around with it. And I'm focusing a little bit more on this one, on the energy of the back leg, because I've noticed um, in my own practice and in some of my students, they'll get the hinge, but forget about the lifting of the back leg. And then the back leg's really heavy. So we need to remember that it's this nice combination of hinging forward, spinal abdominal support as well, and the back leg lifting. So the glutes working a lot, hamstrings, quads working a lot. So let's hop on the mat. We're going to need a chair and a couple of blocks and a wall or a door. I'm using my door. So the first thing we're going to play with is like a lunge. Well, a lunge. So I'm going to have my right leg back, and I'm pressing my right heel into the wall to remind myself of that action of engaging the quadricep muscles to firm and straighten the knee. And then I'm going to take it into just a nice, easy lunge. So I'm letting the wall behind me give me some feedback to notice a couple of things. When I kind of lose that push into the wall, and when I start to get a little like turned out. Nothing horribly wrong with that, but I really like having as many of the toes on the ground. I like having the hips square, and that is that's the tradition of Warrior 3, right? Whether or not you always play it that way, whether or not you want to investigate other things in it, the tradition of the shape is that the pelvis is a little more level. And it's an interesting thought to think about that work that the inner thighs might do to help organize the pelvis that way. So when we're in this lunge, reach the heel back, keep the thigh lifted, and then give a little hug of your inner legs towards each other. And we'll take a breath in and we'll take a breath out. Take one more to stretch gently the spine a little longer, to lengthen it a little forward. And then we'll step forward and we'll fold Uttanasana. Have a moment, you can shimmy. And then we'll take the left leg back, right knee bends. And we're going to try to place the heel as equally inner and outer against the wall as you can find. And again, we're thinking of pressing the back heel back into the wall, lifting the thighs so those quad muscles deeply engaged. And then a little hug of your inner legs towards each other just to help mitigate any temptation to let the left hip roll open. Again, we're looking at this more from a form of the tradition of Warrior 3. I'll give a little press into your blocks. So you're pushing them downward. And then try to lengthen your spine like you were moving into a slight baby back bend. We'll take one more breath. And then we'll step forward. Okay. Take some time in Uttanasana. It's kind of nice if you have your chair there. You can rest your head on your chair like I'm doing. And this will give a nice little stretch to the back of the thighs, right? The hamstring muscles need to be a little lengthened in order to find Warrior 3. But the interesting thing is, any portion of Warrior 3 that you do is Warrior 3. So we'll talk about that thought in a minute. Now, from right here, we're going to take the right leg and step it up into the wall behind you. And, you may have to futz a little bit, like I'm futzing, to find the foot into the wall. And so I'm trying to organize the weight of my pelvis over my front foot. I like to think of the heel and the ankle because they're such sturdy parts, but by no means am I not engaging through the toe mounds of the foot and the toes. They're a part of the shape. There's no doubt about it. And then you can play. Press your foot into the wall, lift your thigh, hug your inner thighs in towards each other just a little bit, just to navigate this right hip down, turn your right ribs down. Again, no shame in exploring other possibilities, but again, we're going more for the tradition. Then you can press into the ball of your foot, lift your heel, Press your heel back. Press into the ball of your foot. Keep that quad muscle on the front of the thigh super engaged. Hug it to the bones. Press back. And then you can stay one more moment. And if you felt like it, you could take one hand off a block. So I'm taking my left hand off the block. Feel into the two legs, really pressing down through the left leg, pressing back through the right leg. And then we'll come forward. We'll rest, breathe, breathe. And then we'll check it in here. Other side. And make any accommodations that you need to, right? One leg might be physically shorter than the other. One set of muscles on one leg might be shorter or tighter, rather, making it more difficult. So adjust as you need to. And then again, we'll root the whole right foot down into the ground. We'll press the left foot into the wall and invite those quad muscles to contract so that your knee lengthens. You can rise to your fingertips and lengthen your spine forward. And again, we'll do that slight hugging feel of the inner legs. And breathe, breathe. You could take one hand off to work on balance. You could take two hands off to work on balance. We didn't do it on the other side, but it's always fun to just see what's possible. Keep engaging that back leg, right? Chances are it might want to get a little soft and then heavy. So keep it engaged, and then we'll step on down. And then we'll come on up. Now we're going to flip it, and we're going to use the chair. So same idea. We've got our two blocks. We're going to take the right foot up on the chair. And it doesn't need a prescribed spot on the chair. So futz around for a sec. We're using the chair as a little touchstone, and it's not as far down as the earth. So we're going to be lifting and lowering that right leg, but it doesn't have to travel as quite a distance as it does if your foot is on the ground. So again, we start, root down in your left foot, push the ground away, tuck your right toes, press back for a moment through your right heel. See if you can imagine like you're pressing into the wall. Now go ahead and lift your leg up, and you got to let the weight shift into your left foot and tap your toes down. Lift your leg up, but keep that same energy like you were stepping into the wall, and tap your toes down. Lift your leg up. So now these glutes, hamstrings, quads on the front of the thigh, all working strongly together. One more time, we'll lift. You could take your left hand off. Lengthen your spine like you're putting just the slightest baby back bend. And then you can stay, or you can balance and breathe. Put your hands down, put your foot down, come back. And then we'll check it in on the other side. Left leg back, toes tucked under. Press your heel back, firm your thigh bone, firm your thigh muscles to your thigh bone. Good. Stay rooted in your front foot. And I'm always thinking, we didn't talk about it today, but I'm always thinking of that light lift of the inner arch, like I'm trying to draw my big toe mound to my inner heel. So there's a little support through the inner foot into the inner knee. Then we're going to lift up that back leg, but keep it pressing back and tap your toes down. Lift your back leg, keep it super energized, and tap your toes down. Lift your back leg and tap it down and lift it. Now keep it lifted. Lengthen your spine in case you lost that. Press down into your standing foot. Reach out through your leg that's in the air. Maybe you take your right hand off. Maybe you flirt with taking your left hand off. Stay a breath. Then place your hands down. Place your foot down. And down we come, Uttanasana. And then the last thing I would say, right, is the thought of any portion of the pose is the pose. So if you were to stand in mountain and take your right leg back as if it were on the wall, super long, quads engaged, glutes, hamstrings engaged, and started to work your hinge as you lifted your leg off, hey, you're in warrior 3. Come on back. Same idea. Hug the inner thighs in. Hinge forward as you lift your back leg, you're in warrior three. It doesn't matter whether your warrior three is on an angle to any degree, or if you come straight over to what you think is, the tradition of warrior three. Any portion of warrior three is warrior three. So that might be your next step, is to take one leg back, bring the weight of your pelvis, the weight of your rib cage over your ankle, work the combination of hinging and lifting, and come on up. Again, firm all the muscles, the quadricep muscles engaging to keep your left knee long, your glutes and hamstrings working to lift, your inner thighs working to help stabilize the pelvis, your abdominal muscles working, and come on up. And one more time. And, play for a second. See how far. What's the worst that happens? You put your foot down. Not so terrible. Any portion of the pose is the pose. So there you go. I hope you have fun playing with some of those other little tools to get you into your Warrior 3 exploration. If you like this, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube page, please do. And you can visit me and find out more about my classes and our online studio at thisisyourbliss.com. Have a great day, everybody. I'll see you real soon.